Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter Likes Books. Happy fall, happy autumn. It is absolutely gorgeous outside in Indiana today. It is like a beautiful fall day. I'm looking at the trees up there. Beautiful fall day. The leaves are really starting to change. October is just a few days away. October is my favorite month of the entire year. Halloween is my favorite holiday of the entire year. So I'm really excited about it. And what better way to enter into the fall autumn season than to do kind of a spooky, scary book tag. I mean, it's not really, but Library of Tomes, Tamika, she put out an original tag called the Stephen King book tag, and she tagged me in it. I actually got tagged in a tag. I was so excited. So I'm gonna link her original video below. Go check her out. Go subscribe to her. She's awesome. And let's get right into the questions. Are you guys ready? Okay, I had her video pulled up. Number one, Stephen King. A highly praised author that you believe deserves the hype. Okay, so I've actually talked a lot about this author on my channel. He's probably in my top 3 favorite authors of life. And I would have to say the other 2 are probably Harper Lee and Julie Murphy. Those are probably my top 3, and Wally Lamb would be a close 4th. But that is Stuart Onan, and I absolutely just admire this man's writing and his storytelling ability. What's interesting about Stuart Onan, a little unknown fact, is that he is really good friends with Stephen King. And the first book that I ever read by him, and the reason I'm holding up this book is for a very specific reason, but I'll get to it in a second. The very first book I read by Stuart Onan was called Speed Queen, and it's actually about this woman that's on death row, and she sells her rights to her story to Stephen King, and so she's telling it to him. And it's very, very interesting. And then later, Stephen King and Stuart Onan actually wrote like a novella together called Face in the Crowd. And so there's a lot of similarities in their writing, and I just love that there is a relationship there with my favorite author and in doing this book tag. So anyway, the reason I picked this book is that if you're wanting to check out Stuart Onan at this time of year, The Night Country is absolutely an amazing book to start with as well, because it's about, I think it's 4 or 5 kids, and they're in a car accident on Halloween night, and 3 of them are killed and 2 of them are left alive. And it's one of the kids that's left alive, his kind of plan to kill him and his other friend a year later on Halloween, because he feels that they should have all died in the car accident. But the story is told from several points of view. It's told from his point of view. So there's an aspect of Sound and the Fury to it, so to speak. It's told from one of the mother's points of view. It's told from his point of view. It's told from the other kid's point of view. But what is awesome about this is that if you go through here and you look at the chapters are all titled after horror movies. So Something Wicked, from Something Wicked This Way Comes. And then let me just flip through here. So if you go, let me find the chapter. I think this is just genius. Dawn of the Dead. Let's pick one more and see what it's called. It'll probably be Night of the Living Dead. No, hold on a second. I'm like way in the back. This is why I should never be a librarian and read to my little students, because I would never be able to find what I was looking for. Oh my God, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. But like Halloween is here, Night of the Living Dead. It's awesome, and I just think it's so well done. So anyway, Stuart Onan is definitely, for me, the author that deserves a lot of attention. And a lot of people don't know who he is or have never heard of him when I mention him. Everything by him is fantastic. And like his books are always like kind of seasonal, but they're not seasonal. So there's this book, which is very much Halloween. And then he wrote a book called Last Night at the Lobster, about this guy that's the manager of a Red Lobster on Christmas Eve, and it's closing down. It's their last night. And it's so melancholy. All the things he writes are very sad, but very, very moving as well. And then he has one that's told in the summertime, and it's about a girl that's like gone missing, and it's called Songs for the Missing. I read that last year. His books are absolutely phenomenal. So if you've never heard of Stuart Onan, go check him out. Okay. Let's get right in to the next question. Next question, number 2. It. A massive book that has been on your TBR for a while, 600 plus pages. This is just over 600 pages. And that is Helter Skelter, the true story of the Manson murders. And I'm reading this in October as a group reads on my channel. So I split it down. It's like, comes out to like 21, 22 pages a day to finish it in a month. I kind of really steer clear of really massive books. I was going to pull down A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, but I always use that for massive books in my, in my book tag. So I thought, well, let's do something different and let's market the group read a little bit, right? So anyway, I'm reading this next month and I'm really excited about it. I've heard great things about it. I've tried to read it several times over the last year and just haven't ever finished it. So October. All right, I have all of my books right here. We're so excited to get planned. Number 3, Carrie, a classic everyone has read but you. And I went over to my bookshelves and I have all my classics on the left-hand side, and this was it just stood right out to me. And that is Mark Twain, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I have never read this book. This was one of my mom's all-time favorite books. I can't believe I haven't read it. It's kind of been on my TBR since I was 10. So, I don't know when. It's not on my TBR right now, but sometime in the next year, I think I'll read it. Have you guys read Huckleberry Finn? Did you like it? Do you not like it? Tom Sawyer, what's your favorite? I guess I kind of need some suggestions. The other ones I was gonna say were Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre. I've never read those. Pride and Prejudice. I don't love classical literature, and part of the problem for me is that, my undergraduate degree was in creative writing and film studies. I was an English major. So I read a lot of classical literature, not those, but a lot of classical literature when I was in college. And when I graduated from college, I just kind of wanted to read what I wanted to read. So I steered away from that. And I actually took an entire year-long class on Victorian literature. But we read kind of obscure pieces. Not really obscure, we read Frankenstein, but then we read Middlemarch by George Eliot and those kinds of things. So anyway, I haven't read any of those. And I know that Pride and Prejudice, Jane Eyre, all those books are Wuthering Heights, some people's favorites. I just cannot get into them to save my life, so. Okay, number 4, Misery, a scary book on your TBR file, or pile. Well, this is really exciting to me. I'm so excited. So, I have 1 hour and 56 minutes remaining of History of Wolves by Emily Friedland, which is on the Man Booker shortlist for the 2017 prize. It is phenomenal. And I just want to say this really quick, even though this isn't on this book tag. If you guys are wanting to read a book off that list, this book was very uncomfortable and disturbing to me at first, but what I have realized over time is that I really like raw, genuine authors that tell the truth how it is and it's not all sugared and spiced up. But she's so raw that it's almost uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's I remember when I was telling my mom back in the day, so I've been sober since I was 22. And I remember my mom and I were having this conversation. I was telling her about a lot of the substances that I had used and whatever. My mom said to me, she goes, I'm your mom, don't forget, I don't need to know everything. And it's very much like that. It's one of those books where it's okay, I get it, I don't need to know it all. This is a little too painful, too much to read. But now that I'm 2 hours out from it being done, The History of Wolves is fantastic. But let me just show you what I pre-ordered last week, and it just came up. There's Someone in Your House by Stephanie Perkins. So that is going to be my next read, and I am so excited. So that is a scary book on my TBR. Number 5, Gerald's Game, a book that is about to be adapted into a movie or TV you need to read. And I actually Googled books and movies that are coming out in the next, or books adapted into movies that are coming out in 2018. And I was surprised by how many of these actually came up. One of the things that's on here, and I had no clue they were making this into a movie, is Bluebeard by Kurt Vonnegut. So I'm from Indiana, and I have never read a Kurt Vonnegut book. I know, I'm sorry. But also, Kurt Vonnegut was my mother's favorite author of life. And her favorite book by him was God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. Is that the name? The title? And I've never read anything by Kurt Vonnegut. And so last year I said, well, maybe I'll read one a month, but I haven't. But maybe this will inspire me to read Bluebeard. Now, everybody tells me to read Breakfast of Champions or Slaughterhouse-Five. But the other 2 books that are coming out that are on my actual TBR for the next year are All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven and Chaos Walking by Patrick Ness. So I'm really excited about that. I'm looking through here to see what other books are being made into movies. There's a lot, actually. So those would be the 2 for me. All the Bright Places and Chaos Walking. And I have both of those books, and I need to read both of those books. So. Number 6, 11/22/63, a book with a historical element that you're excited for. And for that one, I picked Patrick Susskind's Perfume, The Story of a Murderer. And it takes place in 18th century France. And it's about this guy, Jean-Baptiste Grignol, who is like a perfumer. Is that how you pronounce the word? Perfumer? Anyway, and but it's about murders that he does. It reminds me kind of like when I read the description of it, the Caleb, what's the book by The Alienist? Do you guys remember that by Caleb Carr? Was that the book? I read that years ago and I loved it so much. So this kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Now, I have talked about this book in other videos, and people have either said they loved it or they couldn't stand it. So I don't know, we'll see. And apparently this has been made into a song. Was this a song by Kurt Cobain? I think somebody told me. Or is that the other book? But anyway, either way, I'm excited to read this, and I think the cover is beautiful. So that is my Stephen King book tag. Now, I went in to Twitter and I said, who wants to be tagged in my next book tag? So let's see if anybody said me. Let's see. Okay. India Brantley said, I do. So India, you do. CARA DUBE said, only if I were cool enough. You are such a hoot. Melinda Hunt, me. So you're tagged. Geekish Reads said, me. Bunny Cake said, oh, tag me, so you're tagged. And Philippe at the YA Reader, Philippe, are you making booktube videos again? I haven't even checked. He said, me. So I tagged Philippe, Bunny Cakes, Geekish Reads, Melinda Hunt, CARA DUBE, you are cool enough, CARA, and India. So there you go. Those are the people that are tagged in my video. Those are like all new ones except for Philippe. I tag him in everything. So this was a really fun tag to do. And I will be back tomorrow. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you then. Bye.